All right, let's appreciate Mrs. Mugambi in a better way. Keep on clapping for her. Keep on clapping for her kindly. Thank you very much, Mrs. Mugambi. Thank you. God bless you. Asante sana. Very good. Good morning, young ladies and young gentlemen. I'm talking to you. Good morning. How are you today? Let us be on our feet. Just stand up for a moment. I am not quite sure what version you have come across, if you have come across it before, but I'd like us to refresh ourselves a little by making melodies in our hearts. It says, making melodies in my heart, making melodies in my heart, making melodies in my heart to the King of Kings. Then we go, right hand, left hand, making melodies. Making melodies in my, let's go. Louder, to the King of Kings. Right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot. Let's go. Making melodies in my, let's sing. Making melodies in my, come on, sing. Making melodies in my heart to the King of Kings. Right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot. Bend your head. Making melodies in my heart. Let's sing. Come on. Let's sing. All right. For who? To the King. Let's go. Right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot, head bend, stomach out. Let's go. Making melodies in my, let's sing. Go. Let's sing. All right. Making melodies in my heart to the King. Let's go. Right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot, head bend, stomach out, bend your knees. Let's go. That's it. Come on, that's it. All right. Making melodies in my heart to the King. Right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot, bend your head, stomach out, knees bent, shoulder, low. Give yourselves a big hand clap. All right, not just before you sit down. A quick one. My name is Wachira SM III. I am a born-again Christian. I thank the Lord for the gift of salvation and also because He has renewed His mercies upon my life this day. Now I'm looking at young people who are important people. And one of the things I would like you to do, and I'm sure you started doing it from yesterday, since you came to this Entrust STEAM camp, I would like you to think in terms of who you are. I want you to think in terms of why you're here. I want you to think in terms of where you're going after this. And above all, as the Lord our God continues to inspire you, I want you to constantly ask yourself this question. What is the purpose for which God created me? Did you hear that? And as you do this, I would like you to constantly look at yourself, and as you carry on, think in terms of something called a Swot Analysis, where you are looking at your strengths, you are looking at your weaknesses, because human beings have weaknesses. You also think in terms of the opportunities that you have as a young person, and as you go on in your life, the opportunities are going to come your way. But also, there will be dream snatchers. There will be other things that are likely to threaten you. But again, you constantly need to ask yourself, how do I deal with the threats that come my way? I mean, look at how young you are. Look at how gifted you are. Look at all this bumbling energy. Look at all these abilities here. The question is, what are you going to do with them? And as God continues to open your eyes to see that there are people who thought about you, and they created a camp like this just for you, and take it personally, receive it in terms of this is going to help you to grow, and above all, as you stand where you're standing, you must continue standing tall even as you grow. Are we together? And I'm looking at people, if as you come out of this camp, you are willing to make use of the skills that you're going to gain here, how to engage science, how to engage technology, how to grow wealth out of it, then even the sky up there will not be the limit for you. That is why, as we carry on in this session in the morning, I'd like us to be aware, a lot more aware of who we are. I like bringing it to young people in terms of self-awareness and drawing a few examples here and there so that we can be able to ask ourselves, are we aware of who we are? So I'd like you to sit down so that we can carry on. Thank you very much. Let me see your writing materials, like this. Your writing materials, a place you're writing on. That includes your pen and your notebook. Okay. I would like you to jot down a few points, and then I'll be able to explain a number of things so they can help us to be able to be aware a lot more about who you are. Now, as you prepare, I was hoping I'll be able to project it. We don't have power, but it's okay. I'll be able to draw it out of what I've preserved here. I would like you to check your pockets. Just check your pockets. You got any pockets? Check your pockets. Or a bag, or thereabouts. I don't know whether you're allowed a phone here. Do you have phones here? No, good. Then probably any item you have. And any item, probably it's in your pocket, could be something you're wearing on your head, or the kind of attire that you have. And closely look and ask yourself, what does it speak about you? Okay. The small bag you have, what does it speak about you? The type of pencil you're using, if you're using a pencil, what does it speak about you? The pen that you're holding to write, what does it speak about you? The way you've done your hair, what does it speak about you? The way you smile, what does it speak about you? The way you walk, the way you sit, the way you talk, the way you eat, the way you go to the toilet. And let me take you higher. I'm sure some people are just transiting from high school, from primary school going to high school. The kind of school you are anticipating to go to, like Stephjoy here, what does it speak about you? The way you relate with your siblings in your home, what does it speak about you? The way you respect your seniors, what does it speak about you? And these are truly very, very simple ideas I want you to get as a young person. Why? Because as a man thinketh And here man means both male and female. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And I'll take you a little bit back. When we are making melodies in our hearts, some people are just like, that's how they make their melodies. Other people were vibrant, they were excited, and they were raring to go. Other people, when you turned around, they stood still. Now, what does that speak about you? What makes you get motivated? What makes you tick? What brings you here? What takes you to school? What kind of an inspiration? As people talk to you about career, how do you position yourself? Are you aware of who you are? Are you aware of the abilities that you have? Are you aware that you are the only person who is going to limit yourself? That's why I told you, look at what you have. Things that you use on a daily basis. If you had to choose some set of clothing, what kind of clothing would you choose? The question is, are you aware of why you make the choices that you make? Are you aware that when you refuse to make a choice that's going to help you to advance, you are truly making a choice that tells you that you're not prepared for where you're going? That's why I told you, be prepared. As I engage you this morning, I also want you to know that there's this guy who would like us to understand something today called emotional intelligence. I will not dwell so much on that, but there's something I'd like to pick from a person known as Daniel Goleman. And as I go there, I want you to know that emotional intelligence makes you aware, and emotional intelligence helps you to be able to know how to relate with yourself, to be able to know how to relate with other people, and as you continue becoming self-aware, then it is so important for you to grow in terms of the way you handle your emotions. And the formal definition here says that emotional intelligence, commonly known as EQ, is the ability to use your emotions to form an optimal relationship with yourself and others. Please write that down. That's why I ask you whether you have a notebook. I'm not going to ask you to write a lot of things, but write that down. It is the ability to use your emotions to form an optimal relationship. That's the best relationship you can make with yourself and others. I repeat, it is the ability to use your emotions to form an optimal, optimal, relationship with yourself and others. So don't write this down. Just keep that aside, but don't write this, but listen to this. And Daniel Goleman continues to say, it is actually the capacity, don't write this down, it's the capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others by motivating ourselves and managing emotions well in ourselves and others. Simply what you're saying here, young people, and I choose to draw closer to you because I'd like to identify with this. What you're saying here is a human being is the bundle of feelings or emotions. And emotions ordinarily are what you call deep feelings. Why am I bringing this to your awareness? I want you to know that when you're aware of your emotions, you will know what you like and why you like it. You will know what you do not like and why you do not like it. When I was coming in, Mrs. Mogambi here mentioned something about attitude. The way you think about something, the way you like something, the type of an attitude you have towards something will be so much affected by the way you constantly think about yourself, think about other people, the way you feel about yourself, and the way you feel about other people. Remember, no man or no human being is an island. We are here in a camp. We are doing team activities, groups of 10, and you have to work with other people who have abilities just like you have abilities. How do you manage yourself so that you can make use of your own abilities regardless of whether you like other people or not? But how can you come forth and be able to work with other people so that you can be able to enhance your teamwork? As the doctor here tells you about the way the wealth is being generated today, as you prepare through the learning activities you go through, how does that help you to be aware of the abilities that you have? And that is why when Goldman studied these people, or Goldman studied human beings, he was able to tell that when people are aware of the way they think, when people are aware of the way they feel, they will be in control of the abilities that God has given them. The question is, how do you answer to the question, who am I? How do you answer to the question, why am I here? Why do you answer to the question, what purpose do you have in life? And that is why, as I talk to you this morning, the greatest challenge I want you to give to yourself is to know who you are. And at that point, I want to pose this question to you. How many people seriously here know who they are? Put up your hand. Come on, I'm asking you a question. How many people know who they are? How many people know who they are? Are you telling me you don't know who you are? Put it higher, put it higher. Maybe I need to be happier to see you. How many people here know who they are? Oh my, oh my. I want to ask that question again. How many people here know who they are? And I'll tell you why you're a bit reluctant to say you know who you are. Let me save you. A young boy, 7 years old, much, much younger than who you are today, went to school. And the teacher was teaching them math. And he was using very, very basic things. He asked the young boy, if I gave you 2 mangoes and gave you another 2 mangoes, how many mangoes are you going to have? What answer did the boy give? What answer do you think the boy gave? Speak up. What answer did the boy give? Good. You think he gave the answer 4? When the boy was asked, if I gave you 2 mangoes and I gave you 2 other mangoes, how many mangoes are you going to have? He said 5. Now the teacher was perplexed and he thought the boy did not understand the question. So he repeated, if I gave you 2 mangoes and I gave you 2 more mangoes, how many mangoes are you going to have? The boy innocently again repeated, 5. Now the teacher got a bit furious and he wondered, I'm showing you how many? 2. And I'm showing you how many? 2. How does that make 5? So he changed tact and he asked the question using a different type of a fruit. He had heard the mother boy saying the boy loves oranges. So he asked, if I gave you 2 oranges and I gave you 2 more oranges, how many oranges would you have? The boy said 4. And lo and behold, the teacher was happy. Finally, the boy has caught it. But just to confirm, he went back and asked, if I gave you 2 mangoes and I gave you 2 more mangoes, how many mangoes are you going to have? The boy again said 5. And the teacher was so angry, he was almost spanking him. But just before she did that, the boy said, I have 5 mangoes because when I was coming from home, my mother put a mango in my bag. So if you gave me 2 mangoes and you gave me 2 more mangoes, obviously I'm going to have how many mangoes? Let's clap for that young boy. Now, as we go back to the question asking you whether you know who you are, I drew that analogy deliberately because there is what I would consider technical correctness. There is something else I consider practical correctness. When a person asks you a question, when you're going through the camp and you're being asked a number of questions, how do you see it from your point of view? What makes you see the things the way you see them? And see things from a different perspective from other people. Are you aware that a person can be technically correct because 2 plus 2 makes what? 4. Technically they're correct. But practically, the same way the boy was carrying another mango inside his bag, practically things can be viewed differently. Now, when we draw yourself to the idea of self-awareness, I want you to be able to understand there are times you see yourself in a certain way and other people see you differently. So number one, I want to tell you, one of the things to become self-aware is understood through something called self-concept. Write that down. Write self-concept down. Now, self-concept, like a cake, has got 3 layers. I want to give it 3 layers. One layer of self-concept is called self-ideal. Your ideal self. I repeat. One layer out of the 3 layers of self-concept is called self-ideal. Number 2 layer of self-concept is called self-image. Self-image. The image you have of yourself. Number 3 of the components of your self-concept is called self-esteem. The way you feel about yourself. We call it self-esteem. Excellent. So read. First component of self-concept, number 1. Louder. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And you got it right. Now, so that I can quickly break that down for you, because I'm concerned about young people and the way they see themselves. I'm concerned about older people like myself and the way we see ourselves. I'm concerned about younger people than the way you are and the way they see themselves. I want you to understand that you must constantly ask for God's help to see yourself the way God sees you. I repeat, this is important. You must constantly pray to God, call upon the name of God to help you to be able to see yourself the way He sees you. Why is that important? All of us are fearfully and wonderfully made. His works are wonderful, and I know that full well. If we constantly see ourselves the way God sees us, we will not only be able to do better in our academic performance, we will not only be able to do better in our relationships with our folks at home, our friends in school, in the community, we will also be in a position to continue unleashing our potential in such a way that you can be able to reach our goals. And the reason we're talking about this is when you're aware of who you are, when you're aware of where you're going, when you're aware of what motivates you, when you're aware of the way you feel about your situation, you feel about other people, then you constantly be in a position to know what makes you tick. And because I'm talking to young people who are full of energy, please ask yourself, do you know yourself? That's why I told you, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And once again, every given time, human beings are in search of meaning. If you ask God for wisdom, He's going to grant you wisdom to know who you are. And if you're in this camp, and when you go back to your home, you are aware of the abilities that you have. You are aware of what takes you to school. You are aware of why God has chosen to give you a beautiful country like where we are. You are aware of the technology available for you to continue honing your skills. Then with all means, you will be able to get there. And you're going to live your life fully. Number 1, self-ideal. Self-ideal is the way you see yourself from where you are in years to come. Now, if you're joining from 1, Where do you see yourself 4 years down the line? Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line? Where do you see yourself 50 years down the line? And one of these days I can promise you're going to grow very, very old. You'll be 100 years. Na utakuwa unatolewa pale nje, unaanikwa, ukiwa na jua. Wakikusahau msimu kama huu wa mvua, unanyeshewa wapi? Papo hapo. Unaanza kuitana, wako wapi? Because you'll have grown so old that the world will seem to be rejecting you and you're still holding on. But the fact of the matter is, before you get there, you got your full years to live. Are we together? Before you get there, you got an assignment in this world. Before you get there, and as you look at your ideal self, and you're in this journey to get there, what are you going to do every day that helps you to get there? What are you going to do every day that prepares you for that which you're going to do when you get there? Are you getting my point? Now, there are many young people who think they are going to remain 17 for 50 years. Good news is, that is bad news. There are many people here who think they are going to remain 24 until kingdom come. The good news is, that is bad news. And let me tell you this, if you constantly are able to evaluate yourself and see your ideal self and continue preparing as you go to school, as you interact with other people, whatever it is that falls your lot to do, give it your all. Is that okay? Because you have the capacity to do that. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And God does not make a mistake. That is why every time a person looks at their ideal self and the reality in terms of their performance in school, in terms of performance in life, does not agree with that, they become hopeless. They feel empty. They feel rejected. They become powerless because they feel they are not managing. The reason I want to bring this to your awareness is, even when you start feeling like that, never, ever, 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 never, ever, ever, never, ever give up. Everybody say I. Say like you mean it, I. Lift up your voice and say I. Lift up your voice and say I. Say I will never, ever. Say I will never, ever. Say like you mean it, I will never ever give up. And I wish you can tap your head and say, never ever give up. And that's your head you just tapped, okay? So let me tell you, young people, your ideal self is pulling you. And whatever good works that God has predestined within you are working out. How do they work out? As you interact with your teachers. How do they work out as you interact with the professionals who are coming here? How do they work out as you fix things in your hands? How do they work out as you think outside the box? How do they work out as you shake the mediocrity and come out of your comfort zone? How does it work out as you continue thinking that God has created me for a great purpose in this world, and I'm going to do everything under the sun with God's help to be able to achieve the goals He has allowed me to enjoy. That's when I look at you, I see a lot of energy. When I look at you, I see a lot of energy. When I look at you, I see a lot of people who can be able to see it for themselves. The question is, are you able to see it for yourself? Because nobody is going to think your thoughts. Nobody is going to sit on your seat. Nobody is going to occupy your space. That is why, as you see this ideal self, you must labor every day, and you must wake up believing that every day, in every way, I am becoming better and better. Every day, in every way, I'm becoming stronger and stronger. I'm looking at young people who have capacity to be able to be different. That's why you chose to come here. I'm looking at young people who are going to make use of science. I'm looking at young people who are going to make use of technology. I'm looking at young people who are going to be drawn into engineering courses. I'm looking at young people who behold humanities with all their might and all that they got. I'm looking at young people who are going to work through mathematics and continue making more discoveries and more solutions. That's what you're looking at. Can you feel it in your heart? Can you feel it in your heart? Boy, oh boy, can you feel it in your heart? You don't look like it. Can you feel it in your heart? Everybody say I. Say like you mean it, I. Say like you mean it, I. I can feel it down here, down here, down here. Number 2 is what we call self-image. And I'll give you an example in the Bible. When the Israelites had been in the wilderness for 40 good years, going round circles, a journey that would have taken them 2 weeks lasted 40 good years. Unfortunately, there are times human beings, when they got God's help, they choose to look at themselves differently. I am sure amongst the Israelites, there were from ones. Hallelujah. Amongst the Israelites, there was Standard 8 who had just done their KCPE. Among the team that Moses had, there were young men and young women. Amongst the people that Moses had, the people who was leading, there were teachers, just like you have teachers in your schools. Among the people that Moses was leading, there must have been mothers and fathers. Among the people that Moses was leading, there must have been priests, there must have been engineers, there must have been doctors, name it. However, even with all the abilities that God had given them, they chose to look down upon themselves. Now, Moses identifies 12 people from the 12 tribes of Israel. And I think they went against God's plan because God had not told them to send spies there. But nonetheless, they were sent there. Amongst these people, 2 commonly talked about people. One was Joshua, the other one was called Caleb. And I'm sure some people have names like that even today. And when Joshua and Caleb, together with the 10 people, went there, they were able to explore the land. The same way you're exploring the land in Kenya here, and you're exploring the land in terms of your career, and you're exploring the land in terms of what you're becoming years to come. And when they went out there and beheld the land, and looked at the land flowing with milk and honey, the same way we are happy when we hear about certain careers, the same way we are happy and look at our lives and decide to be successful. These people were looking at an image of something that was going to make them very, very fruitful and successful. However, after doing all that, something hit them that made them think differently. Other than being aware of the abilities that they have, these people started thinking negatively about themselves. When they met the Nephilim, these are descendants of Anak, and they were huge giants. They said, when we looked at these people, they seemed like giants, but worse still, when they look at these people, they said, these people we saw ourselves in their presence like grasshoppers, and they saw us as grasshoppers. Now that tells you there are many times we look at ourselves, and other than being aware of who we are, the image we have of ourselves is a diminishing image. And we continue doubting the abilities that you have. And we continue thinking we are not good enough. And we continue thinking that we cannot do it. We continue thinking it's not possible. We continue thinking that it cannot be done. How many people here remember a person known as Eliud Kipchoge? Eliud Kipchoge? Very good. In case you've forgotten, Eliud Kipchoge is a Kenyan who does marathon. You know that, eh? Eliud Kipchoge, at the age of 34, he has stretched himself and he has done a marathon in less than how many hours? 2 hours. And Eliud Kipchoge said, there is no limitation in the human being. Why is Eliud Kipchoge saying that? It's because he knows when you have an image of yourself, believing it can be done, and with God's help, practicing and working at it over and over again, then finally, you realize your potential in such a great way. However, I like comparing Eliud Kipchoge with another guy who died at the age of 24. Before he died, this young man had won the Beijing Olympics in 2008. And he was earning a lot of money out of his marathon activities. Unfortunately, this young man, failure to know who he was, failure to see an ideal self, failure to see who he was becoming, failure to appreciate his self-concept, he started drinking alcohol, he started moving around with women, and at a very, very young age of 24, Samuel Wanjiru died. Today, we don't remember Samuel Wanjiru, and yet they had started the career together with Eliud Kipchoge. That tells you two men looked through the prison bars. One of them saw mud, the other one saw stars. The question is, as you come to this camp today, what do you see in your life? Those people who are in this camp, who are going to continue honing their skills, one day they are going to employ you if you're not interested in working hard. Are you listening to me? There's nothing wrong with being employed. But the fact of the matter is, if you keep on doing what you're required to do and give it your all, God being the one who gives you the gifts and the talents and abilities will help you to be able to succeed. Everybody say, I. Say like you mean it, I. I have a good self-image. I have a good self-image. Remember, if you knew how little other people think about you, you'd feel insulted. People don't think about you. People think about themselves. And I'm not saying we should not think about other people. I'm not saying we should not care about other people. But we are so many times obsessed with the fact that people don't like me, people don't like doing this thing to me. I'll tell you something. When you're having a problem, 80% of the people do not care. Are you listening to me? So that you can learn how to solve your problems. When you're having a problem, 80% of the people do not care. 20% are glad it is you having the problem. Did you hear that? 80% do not care. 20% are glad it is you having the problem. Now, does that mean you should reject yourself? No. Does that mean you should feel rejected by other people? That's their problem. You must ask yourself, how can I improve myself? How can I see myself the way God sees me? Other than feeling the alienation, other than feeling the worthlessness, the emptiness, the powerlessness, you can be able to boost your self-image. The way you see yourself will determine to a very large extent how much progress you're going to make in terms of your life. Are you listening to me? And you are young people and full of life. That is why I'm encouraging you to have a healthy self-image of yourself. Because it's also important the way you see yourself. Number 3 is called self-esteem. And I'll be quick on this one. Self-esteem is the way you feel about yourself. How much do you like yourself? How much do you value the way you feel about yourself? How much do you position yourself in such a way that nobody will make you feel inferior without your consent? That nobody will make you feel bad about yourself because you're not willing to listen to that kind of garbage. That many times, as people want to make you feel bad about yourself, you're going to tell yourself, I am valuable. You're going to tell yourself, I am good enough. You're going to tell yourself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I love myself. Everybody say, I. Say like a minute, I. Say it better, I. Point at yourself and say, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. Say it better, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. Give yourself a bear hug and say, I love myself. With a smile on your face, young person, I love myself. Let me see how much you love yourself. I've got a new 1,000 note here. Probably I'd like to give it to you. But just before I give it to you, I want to see how much you like yourself. How much money is this? How much money is this? I can see a few more faces lighting up. How much money is this? This is 1,000 Kenya shillings. If somebody gave this to you, just come. Name? John. Joy. Joy. Joy is here. And I've given it to you. If somebody gave that to you, Joy, what would you do with it? She's looking at it, admiring. What would you do with it? Yes? Offer. Offering. Let's clap for Joy. Let's clap for her. Let's clap for her. Joy says, if she got that money, the first thing she would do is to offer. How much would you offer? 500. That's even more interesting. I believe you're thinking about tithing, eh? So you give 50%. That's even better. Okay, you've offered your 500 Kenya shillings. How much are you left with? 500. What would you do with it? Now she is thinking. She's wondering. It's a surprise, right? And I've given her 500 Kenya shillings. Remember, we talked about self-ideal. Where do you see yourself going? We talked about your self-image. What do you have in your area or in your presence or in your life that helps you to continue improving your self-image the way you see yourself? We're also talking about loving yourself, liking yourself, and feeling good about yourself. And you have 500 shillings in your hands. What would you do with it? Don't worry, the answer is correct. It's okay. Oh, she'd like to buy some books. I hope she's being honest, eh? Yes, let's clap for Joy. We're encouraging you to make decisions, right? Okay. Are you aware that some people like Joy, if they are given this money today, most likely they'll buy credit for their phones. You know that, eh? Are you aware of that? They've just been given. And most likely, when they have that credit in their phones, they will use it to chat with their friends. You know that, eh? And there are many, many times they will chat with their friends until the stories are finished. And they get to a point, and probably it's past midnight, and all they are doing, one person sends a chat and says, haha. Then the rest of the group, they're chatting in the group, says, hehe. And the story goes on and on. And essentially, young people, what I'm putting across to you is, you got power in your hands. You got abilities in your hands. And later when I'll be finishing, I'll be reading to you a poem by a guy called Edgar Guest. But just before we get there, what this girl here is holding in her hands is only a small symbolic representation of what God has endowed you with. The question is, do you value what you have? Sit down, Joy. I've gotten the money back. But let me show you this. Now, if you're saying, should have remained with it, eh? I'm not done with the money yet. Now, if I held this money, one way I can give it out to Joy. The other way I can spend it myself. The other way I can buy things for other people. But if I'm holding my money like this, and I decided to hold it tightly in my hand, and not just hold it tightly, continue crumbling it in my hand like that. And then I make it into a very, very small ball. Later I want to see whether it's a fake note. Eh? Now I keep pressing it, pressing it, pressing it, pressing it, pressing it. And then I lift it up. How much money is that? Truly. How much money is that? Okay. I do this many times not because I disrespect money, but there's something I want you to learn out of it. Then I put it on the ground there. I step on it. I step on it. I keep stepping on it. I can even jump on top of this note. And I keep doing it. Then I lift it up. How much money is that, young people? Even after stepping on it. It does not change the value. Supposing I'm not going to do that. But if I decided to spit on it and made it look very bad, how much money would it be? Okay. Finally, if I decided to throw it, yeah. Where? Okay. If I decided to throw it and it got to you, how much money would it be? Now let me tell you, young people, life is going to offer you challenges. Some of the challenges that you go through in life might come packaged in terms of your academic work. Some of the life challenges will come packaged in terms of trials and temptations. Some of the challenges will come packaged in such a way that we keep on wondering, why on earth was I born in this family? Because maybe from your point of view, there's some level of poverty that you cannot bear. But I want to challenge you as you stretch with as many examples of challenges as you wish. I want to challenge you to know that the opportunity is right where you are. I want you to know that your value does not diminish because other people are looking down upon you. I want you to know that your value does not decrease simply because other young men or other young women are behaving badly. I want to challenge you to know that your value does not decrease simply because somebody does not like you. Did you hear the case of Naivasha? Where a 17-year-old boy killed, stabbing 26 times a 16-year-old girl, simply because the beautiful young girl refused the advances of this young boy and their neighbors. The Sunday before, the father who has a motorbike had carried this boy to church. What was he going to church to do? I'm sure he was going to pray. But you can see, when people are not in control of their emotions, when people are not aware of who they are, they don't know how valuable they are. They don't realize the potential that God has put within them. And other than using it to hate other people, other than using it, kazi ni kukatia tu, other than using it for other reasons that are not going to help you to advance in terms of what God has put within you, is very, very disastrous. That is why I want you to know that God knows you by your name. He not only knows you by your name, He has inscribed your name on the palm of His hand. You are that valuable in the eyes of God. And whoever tells you you're not good enough, turn around and tell yourself, I am good enough. Why? Because when you are aware of the abilities that God has put within you, when you are aware of your value, when you are aware of the potential you have, you're not going to waste your time thinking about why people do not like you. My home area is in Laikipia Plains. Laikipia Plains can get a bit windy at times. Baka wale watu wa 1GB, you have to be careful because it gets very windy. And as you're walking along, you will notice, because of the strong wind that's blowing, some people will look at you like this. Now, when you see people looking at you like that, don't start calling the FM stations to complain. Don't put it on social media to tell other people how badly people are looking at you. It's the wind blowing and hitting their face. The fact of the matter is, when you know how valuable you are, and I want to repeat this, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. That is why I want us to be aware of who we are. That's why I want us to be aware of the abilities that God has put within us. That's why I want you to be aware that when you develop self-awareness, you grow in terms of your self-confidence. You become more confident and you're going to become better. Because when you become more confident, you're going to feel more competent. When you become more competent, you become more confident. And as you do this over and over again, then you will be able to do much, much better than you've done before. I would have allowed Joy to keep this money. But just before I do that, maybe I need to tell you something else that I would like you to write down, called the Johari Window. Just write that down. J-O. In self-awareness, there's a man or two men that came up with something called the Johari Window. And this is important for all of us because it's going to help us to be able to appreciate our self-awareness in a better way. Johari is J-O-H-A-R-I. Na window ni dirisha kama lile. Did you get that right? Very good. Now, I chose to briefly talk about Johari Window because Johari Window helps us to get something called feedback. As you become self-aware, it is necessary for you, because according to Joseph Luft, that's one name of the people who formed the Johari Window, and Harry Ingham, just write Joseph and Harry. Self-awareness is that aspect of self that is outside our awareness and can only be brought to awareness through feedback. Now, feedback is important. As you work in your groups, you are going to realize that there are people who know something about you and they give you feedback about it. That's why I'm saying feedback is important. Now, his model, or this model known as Johari Window, considered 4 windows or 4 panes. One, and I want you to write this down, is something that you and others know. Number 1, the first window says you know it and other people know it as well. So number 1, you and others know. Number 2, only you know about yourself. It's only you who knows about yourself. It's only you who is aware about it yourself. Number 3, only others know about you. Only others know about you. Let me hear what you've written. Number 1. Louder. You and others know. Number 2. Only you know about yourself. Number 3. Only others know about you. I want to give you number 4. You and others do not know. You and others do not know. And let me break it down very, very simply for you. Number 1, because you're talking about self-awareness here. Number 1, let's all stand up. As I explain, number 1, stand up. Everybody stand up, everybody stand up, thank you. Thank you, at the back there, thank you. Stand up. Thank you very much. Thank you, stretch a bit now. Very good, close your eyes. Please close your eyes. We are not just about to pray, but close your eyes. With your eyes closed, using your right hand, mkono wako wa kuume, using your right hand, point, eyes closed first, eyes closed. If you can see me, it means your eyes are not closed. So close your eyes, I can see you. Yes, thank you for trying to open your eyes, but close them now. Thank you. Now, using your right hand, your eyes are closed now. Using your right hand, point north. North. The way you know it. Don't open your eyes, point north. Okay, point north. Point. Don't open your eyes yet. Don't open. Stretch out your hand. Point north. Point north. Come on, point north. Stretch out your hand. Keep pointing. Open your eyes and look around. Open your eyes, look around. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Sit down. Okay. Every time I do this, and I like it doing amongst young people, I get that kind of a result. For some people, north is that way. For some other people, north is this way. For some other people, north was that way. For some other people, north was this way. I am always particularly interested with the group that points up. Why? Because I think they remember from their lessons of geography an arrow was drawn, and it was pointing up, and an N was put on top. So for them, north is up. I'll tell you this, young people. I will not tell you where north is, but I'll give you a hint. Because the sun is shining now, when you go outside during break time, look at that apparent movement of the sun. Where does it rise from? East, isn't it? Where does it set? West. And then from there you can figure out where north is. I've just given you a hint. Maybe in your afternoon discussions, find out who was able to get it right. Number 2, the point I like making out of that for everybody who cares to listen is that north does not change whether you know it or not. I repeat, north does not change whether you know it or not. Do you know when a person does not know math or doing a particular sum, when a person is not familiar with the formulas or what is required to be done, what are they likely to do? Guesswork. And when they guess, they are going to present their work. When the teacher receives their work for marking, they are not going to get it right because they just guessed. I don't blame them because when they don't know, they can only do what? Guess. The fact of the matter is, when you get to know the formula and apply it, it becomes so easy for you to do the calculations or work out the problem that you'll wonder why you did not know it before. But the reason again as to why I'm putting across this to you is you must keep working. You must keep working until you know the truth. You must keep working until you find the true north. You must keep working. Now, how do I connect that with the Johari Window? Johari Window says, there are things you know and other people know about you. For example, when you have a friend, they know your name and you know their name and you know it yourself. That is common to everybody. When you are doing something that a person knows and you know it, it's known as common knowledge. It's an open arena. Everybody knows about it, and you cannot claim not to know. For example, if I told you my name is Wachira, you know my name, and I know my name, so we both know the name. That is why we say, according to Joseph and Harry, they are saying there are certain things that are known to you and also known to other people. For example, there are people who are good in certain areas, and they know it themselves, and other people know it as well. So it's no surprise that people know it. That is why we are calling it known to oneself and known to others. However, number 2, there is what is known to yourself but not known to other people. It's actually a hidden spot. That even with a gun on your head, at times people have such secretive thoughts that they will never share them with anybody until they die. You know it yourself, other people do not know. It's even more interesting when you're in a school setup where you know how to solve a particular problem, other people do not know that you know how to solve it, but you're not willing to help them. It's hidden in your heart. And yet, you're not willing at any given time to help them to be able to do it. You know it yourself, but it's not known by other people. There are certain thoughts, there are certain feelings that you have, there are certain behaviors that you have that are only known to you. And I repeat, even with a gun on your head, you will never share them with other people. Look at your life now. Look at the way you think. Look at the way you do your things. There are certain things your parents will never know, and you know them. There are certain things even your best of friends will not know, and you keep them in your heart. Maybe it's time to ask yourself, why do you hide them in your heart? Would they be embarrassing how people knew about them? How do you deal with them? And some of these challenges drive people to do things they ought not to do because they are not exposing themselves, and maybe they're even suffering, and other than doing things that are going to help them to be able to come out of it, because some of them are negative things, then they end up doing things that are very, very counterproductive. Number 3, the third one is a blind spot. It's called a blind spot because you are not aware, but other people are aware. And you start saying, who, me? Never. I've never done anything to show I'm a leader. Some people can tell you you are good in this area, and you keep telling yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. Remember, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you constantly are putting yourself down, if you are constantly telling yourself you're not good enough, then you are not going to develop the self-confidence to help you to be able to do it. That is why it is so important for you to ask yourself, what is this that people can see in me that I cannot see in myself? However, we also have some bad behaviors that other people can see in us and we cannot see in ourselves. For example, have you ever noticed that we notice bad breath in other people, we don't notice in ourselves? That when people have a bad breath, we don't know it ourselves, but other people can tell us. Please, when you're given feedback about any bad breath, and not necessarily this bad breath, anything that's negative, please take it positively because they're helping you to discover things that you did not know. Other people, and forgive me for this bad example, other people are in the habit of this. And they do it in public. They pick their nose. It is such a disgusting habit, and yet people do it. They do it so unconsciously. Other people can see it. They don't like it. They tell them, they wonder, what are you talking about? Because they're not even aware that they're doing it. That is why I told you to be aware. There's a blind spot in a human being where there are certain things that other people can see, but you cannot see it yourself. Now, it even makes it more interesting. Now it's on your side. You think you have it, but other people cannot see it. There are people who think they are good. There are people who think they are smart, and other people cannot see it. And yet, they are only imagining that they are good. So again, that's a blind spot. The fourth one, and the last one there, this talks about you are not aware, and other people also are not aware. It's unknown to you, and also unknown to other people. Now, that brings me to this point. The reason as to why you go for workshops, the reason as to why you go to school, the reason as to why you go to camps, the reason as to why you go to church, the reason as to why you interact with other people in the society is so that that which is unknown to you can be brought to forth. That which is unknown to you can come out as you unleash your potential. That which is unknown to you can help you to be able to discover things that you have that you never ever knew about. That is why a camp like where you are, you should have your eyes open, your ears open to hear, what is this new knowledge these people are presenting to me? What is this challenge they are giving me as I work together with other people to find out more about myself, to discover the abilities within me that God put in me, and unless they are brought out, I might live my life without ever discovering those things. There are people who go to their graves with their greatness still within them because it was never brought out. That is why today and in days to come, as you think about where people are helping you to be able to discover, because we are looking up to people who will be able to offer solutions in this nation, in this continent, and in the world. And we are looking up to you at your age today to do everything possible to continue encountering, interrogating, doing with this knowledge what God has asked you to do so that finally you can be able to get there. And I would like now to take you through this poem by this guy called Edgar Guest as I wind up. Edgar Guest said this: please listen, he says, "Figure it out for yourself, my lad." I repeat, figure it, listen to the word, figure it out for yourself, my lad. You have all the greatest of men have had. 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you would be wise. With this equipment, they all began. So start for the top and say, I can. In your heart be saying, I can. Look them over, the wise and the great. They take their food from a common plate, and similar knives and forks they use. With similar laces they tie their shoes. The world considers them brave and smart. But you have all they had when they made their start. You can triumph and come to skill. You can be great if only you will. You are well equipped for what fight you choose. You have legs, arms, and a brain to use. And the man who has risen great deeds to do began his life with no more than you. You are the handicap you must face. You are the one who must choose your place. You must say where you want to go, how much you will study the truth to know. God has equipped you for life, but He lets you decide what you want to be. Courage must come from the soul within. The man must furnish their will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. You are born with all the great have had. With your equipment, this equipment that you have, they all began. Get hold of yourself and say, I can. Everybody say, everybody say, everybody say. You can say it better than that. Everybody say. Thank you very much and God bless you all. Thank you very much.